Welcome to the Scholarly Soundbites, where we speak with high achievers who are shaping the world through research and innovation. I'm your host Kaushik, and I'm going to be talking to Anshuman today. He's a researcher from one of the world's most prestigious universities, a PhD researcher in structural engineering at Imperial College London, focusing on sustainable steel framing systems. Anshuman's journey is a masterclass in global academia, double master's degree from BITS Pilani and the University of Glasgow, a gate clearance on his first try, and successfully navigating over 30 PhD interviews to secure a scholarship. Anshuman, thank you for joining us. Would you like to take a few moments to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. Hi, everyone. Myself, Ansuman Panda. So, currently, I'm in my third year of PhD at Imperial College London. My research area is basically of steel structures, as Kaushik mentioned. It's related to sustainability, economical, and also durability. So I am basically focused for the steel structure design in UK as my university is here and I'm doing research here. But simultaneously, I'm also thinking how can I implement all my research, all my learnings, outcomes, everything back in India, in industry or in academia or in further research. As Kaushik mentioned, I have done my first master's from BITS Pilani, Hyderabad in 2020 with a distinction. Then I came to Scotland to pursue my second master's in civil itself from University of Glasgow. So yeah, and I've done my bachelor from Odisha University of Technology and Research. Back then it was CET Bhubaneswar in 2018 in civil. So yeah, and I have a few papers which we'll talk in further in the podcast. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anshuman, for the introduction. But I'm sure that a lot of people would be very curious about why you took such a elongated academic journey and standing where you are today. So let's just go and deep dive right into it. Like, firstly, we'll talk about the foundational aspects of your engineering education. So, what led you into civil engineering, and why did you start with your journey there, and what led you to pursuing two masters?
Yeah, so first of all, if I go back to my, let's say, let's start from the 12th. So um, so to be honest, I was never into this engineering, medical or whatsoever. But back then, in during my plus 12 standard, so my parents, they had a dream of me pursuing medical and becoming a doctor, which I simply discarded at one go because obviously as you like as the audience or the students who are in the career path, they would relate in 12th or 10th in our times, let's say 15, 20 years back, we hardly had any like idea of what's medical, what's engineering. We just know, okay, after 12th we need to do the graduation. So in my mind, I had a I might be wrong or right, but I had this thing: if I take medical, I have to study biology, which is like you need to mug up rather than understanding. So I was not keen to learn the things without understanding. So that's why I told my parents, no, I can't pursue medical. So I had the only option, the engineering. So I was preparing from for IIT, JEE Main, AI Triple E, all those things. I could not crack any. Neither my 12th grade was that good as I expected. So I chose civil engineering. The reason was because in our family, my uncle, like my father's younger brother, he's a civil engineer from East Barampur. So he has his consultancy firm in Bhubaneswar for last 30 odd years or 28, 30 odd years. So he gave me a plan that if you do civil engineering, then we both can take over the business and we can make a 5, 10, 15-year plan. So we both can work together. That sounded, in that time, that sounded quite good because I thought, okay, after my undergrad, I don't have to study further. I can directly join a family business. So that was the reason of me joining civil engineering. And okay, so when I came to my first year of B.Tech, it was like we studied all the subjects combined, not specifically civil. So in my second year, when we studied civil engineering courses in particular, then I developed certain interest to three, four courses of civil engineering. I can't say all, but three, four. Structure was one of them, or earthquake or geotech, if the civil engineering students would relate to this. Then my dad, he suggested me that it's better if you appear for gate exam for masters. Honestly, I didn't have any idea of gate. I just heard about MBA, then okay, MBA business. But honestly, at that time, at that particular my second year, I was neither interested for MBA nor MTech, but my dad suggested, so I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. Then he made me got admitted to Made Easy Bhubaneswar in Napoli. So I started my gate coaching in my uh, towards the end of fourth semester or beginning of fifth semester or so. I can't remember exactly. So then I started attending the coaching. I went to Medici. There were some excellent and world class top faculties teaching there. I think almost everyone was like top gate scorer or IS qualified or something like that. So with time, as the day like months progressed, and I became more serious about cracking the gate exam at first go. Simultaneously, the teaching job or the profession, the medici, like the for example, the medici professor would come to the class. They would teach for, let's say, 5-10 hours for a long class, and they would get paid. We were we, we used to listen them like quite carefully, and we would respect them. So that excited me. Okay, this is the profession I would like to pursue as my career, because before that I was like, before that the business was the only thing, as I said. But this teaching or uh, academia job excited me from Medici. I clearly remember the time it was from Medici. Then I, on my end, I started to research, okay, to be a college professor or to be a university lecturer, what qualifications do I need to have. Then staying in India, back then, I think now the government has changed something, but back then the PhD was mandatory. Like, you need to have a PhD degree, no matter from which college, but you need to have a PhD degree. So I thought, okay, as I'm pursuing my MTech, then I can also think of PhD. But at that time, I was not so sure of doing PhD. But by the time, doing masters was certain. Like, I would be doing masters, and I would try clearing the gate exam. So that's how I landed up doing masters in BITS Pilani, Hyderabad.
So it's a very interesting way in which you have taken this journey through, right? You have
Yeah.
discussed a lot of different parameters and engaged with a lot of different outcomes. But beyond academic achievements, also, you've had very intrinsic personal experiences around civil engineering. So I'm pretty sure that people are very attuned towards how they will sort of like come out and think about engineering in specific and also in terms of how they're working hard through it. But if you're considering PhD is a very like important step for any academician or any person who's taking a step there right now.
Yeah.
So why particularly did you choose sustainable steel framing systems for your PhD subject?
Yeah. So honestly, like, mm, okay, so let me put it this way. So when I was doing my masters in BITS Pilani, I got my first paper. Like, I have also put it out there on LinkedIn. So my first paper was based on dynamics and earthquake simulation. So it's basically seismology or earthquake. So if I look back to my journey in from BITS Pilani, the first interest of me doing something, some research or going into the deep or something like that, was the dynamics and earthquake, not the steel, to be honest. But uh, yeah, so back then I had thought, if I do my PhD, I would do in this domain of, because I had one paper, two paper, and I developed an interest, and I thought I know a pretty good like overall thing of this research. And if I do PhD in this domain, it will be a kind of continuation of my previous knowledge and current knowledge. So in that way, I thought, okay, let me continue doing research on dynamics. So if you like, if you see my profile, or if you Google about me, I also did 6 months or 7 odd months of PhD in kind of particular domain, structural health monitoring, in University of Laval. But that was during COVID, so I could not travel to Canada because of visa and all those things. And unluckily or luckily, that admission had like got cancelled from the university level. So I had to withdraw my application and I had to stop my PhD midway. It was a like it was kind of shocking, but I had to accept that. So after that, I in my journey, I again applied for this in Odisha or in India. We have this concept of contractual faculty. So it happens when you have a master's degree and you are eligible to teach on a contractual basis. It's basically for 6 months. After that, you have to again give the interview and you have to again sit in the selection process. So I applied in my undergrad college, which was OUTR back then, CT, and luckily I got selected. So there I taught the undergraduate and master students for 1 year. Simultaneously, I was also looking for PhD again. At this time, I thought it was an instinct. I don't know whether I was right or wrong, but at that time I thought, okay, let's not focus about the research area. Let's focus to get a offer letter with the scholarship. That was my priority. So earlier my priority was, okay, no matter which college or whatever be the situation, but I would stick to the research area. But now my priority changed. It's like, okay, I can compromise on my research area, but I need to get a good college because I kind of wasted 1 year or repeated 1 year. So now I shifted my focus from the research domain to the university and scholarship. That's how I came for masters and ultimately approached one of the faculty of Imperial, now my current supervisor, and his research area was still. So when I got the offer letter and I was about to accept Imperial's offer letter, that time my only thought process was, okay, Imperial comes in the top university. I'm getting kind of partial or some scholarship. The supervisor who is going to supervise me during my PhD, he's one of the best in the state. Okay, I'm getting all these aspects good. Okay, if I'm not getting the my research area, it's fine because I have 3 4 years. I will develop my interest with time. And luckily, after spending 3 years of research in steel, now I can say, okay, I also like steel. It's not like I don't like, but it was never my first preference. So I guess when you are limited with choices, or you are mm, you feel that you have wasted 1 year or you are repeating, then you have to do kind of compromise in the sense, okay, you have to align your priorities with the current scenario. That's how I shifted from dynamics and earthquake to now steel structures.
That's a very interesting take, but you would see often that people struggle with this idea that they're not getting the right opportunities and not getting the right options. And they often fail because they sit there and think that, oh, I cannot do this or I cannot do that. So, would you recommend that students who are approaching PhD and are having these kind of problems, what kind of things that they need to do so that they can be better at their jobs and I can also approach these opportunities much more evenly?
Yeah, so the basic thing is that you don't have to give up. That's a cliche line, but it's true, at least for the students. If I take my journey as an example, or lots of students right now, you don't have to give up. If you want to do PhD, okay, doing abroad, doing India, that's a individual choice. But if you want to do PhD, you don't have to give up, because as we all have faced in all our sectors, the COVID time, 2 3 or 2.5 years was the most difficult phase for all of us. Like, lot of people have lost their lives even, and now we are sitting here and we're talking about career choices. Because so this happened with me due to COVID, because if the COVID was not there, I was continuing my PhD immediately after my M.Tech from BITS Pilani. I would not have done my second master's and came to Imperial. So that's a like one of a kind scenario in, let's say, in a century or in a decade. But having said that, if you want to do PhD, or if you want to do any pass, like if you want to do choose a career path or anything in life, you don't have to give up. That's the first thing. Second thing, you have to keep searching. It's not like, okay, I try like mm, if I talk about myself, okay, if I would have thought, okay, I had applied for Canada, I have done all the documentation, everything, now it got rejected, I am tired, I am done, it's enough, I can't do all those documentation, everything again for an. No, it's not like that. Unless and until you reach a point where you had wished to reach, if you are not reaching there, you should not give up. It's a long process, like getting a university and coming there to do PhD. Before that, it takes a lot of things, exams like English exams, SOP, LOR, CV, everything. But you have to have patience. You have to have honesty with you. Okay, what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing. I'm not being dishonest with myself. I'm not applying for PhD just the sake of applying. I really want to do that. So that should be your motive and that should be your goal. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. And once you develop this thing like determination, optimistic, all these characteristics, you would find, okay, that was not difficult. That was a phase of life which passed, and now I'm in a good place. Always, I think, in my life, my goal was always to compare the present, not with anything. Compare the present. Okay, right now I'm in a good place. That's it. Okay, what happened in the past? Okay, that was the part of life, part of experiencing. I experienced, might be I'm becoming mentally stronger or wha- like anything like that. But the present time is the, like, okay, I am in a good place. That's what all matters at the end of the day.
That's a very, very, very well put point, I think, because firstly, you would have to always believe that there are opportunities for you. Even if there are challenges, you're still doing things in a way in which it
Yeah.
will make the most amount of sense for you. So I agree completely when you're saying that, right? People need to focus and localize their thoughts into making positive change. But this also like embodies a lot of work that you've done elsewhere as well, because you have pursued two masters. And I think that's a very interesting talking point next, right? Because what made you go ahead and do two masters, and especially when you had a solid distinction from BITS Pilani, what draw you into like doing another one from University of Glasgow, and how did you manage that thought process and that application cycle?
Yeah. So on this point, before like answering this, I would like thank the social media site which is LinkedIn, because when, as I said, when I was doing this contractual faculty in CET, OUT, or whatever, so I was also searching like how can I apply for PhD again. So okay, let me go back a bit. So when I had decided to do PhD abroad in BITS Pilani, I had some key countries based on my field. My field in the sense based on structural engineering or civil engineering, but to say. So it might differ if your audience, if one of your audience is from mechanical or biotech, for him or her, the country preference might change, but overall process is the same. So based on my MTech degree or MTech, what you say, specialization, I had chosen US, UK, Canada, Germany, Australia. These were my prime countries. If like in the sense, if I get good universities in these 4 5 countries, I would go based on the scholarship. Okay, that's one point. Second point was that when I was searching on LinkedIn, I was seeing lot of post like, okay, lot of Indian students, then their post was mainly about, okay, I did my masters from this college in India, I had applied for PhD in UK, but lot of universities, they suggested me that it's better if you have a UK master's degree. That was the common point which I found in almost all the LinkedIn posts. Having said that, you must not forget that my MTech is from BITS Pilani. Okay, in India we know BITS Pilani is a like kind of premier institute or private or top notch institute. But when you go abroad, they only recognize old IITs and old NITs. That's the bitter truth. You have to accept it. Okay, so if you apply for UK or Germany, then they it just, for example, they will ask, are you not from IIT Madras? You would say obviously no. Oh, okay, then they have impression, okay, you might not be that level of student. For example, are you not from IIT Bombay? No. So that's the thing. So I realized, okay, I don't have any IIT NIT tag with me. How can I like how can I say, how can I compensate my MTech first degree with another degree or something? Then I uh, applied for University of Glasgow. I, to be honest, for my masters I didn't select any like kind of rank university. I had just applied to almost 18 to 20 universities in UK. So I had got in offer from different universities, for but among them Glasgow was kind of mm, better in rank and everything. Yeah.
That's a very fine take as well, because when you're looking at different ways in which people are doing their masters, I think people have often questions about how do we place our masters into tangible outcomes in the field, and what are the practical limitations that are there when pursuing masters. So you've really like cleared out a couple of things here. But when you're managing masters preparations and studies, as well as also working through the coursework, you need to have some sort of like strategies for like mental preparations, as well as approaching research and problem solving. So, what are some critical things or skills that helped you when you were pursuing your master's on both these particular colleges? And how did you sort of manage or navigate through everything?
Okay, so first thing first, uh, it's a normal conception among uh, almost 99% of Indian students, whether they are in undergrad, they're in masters, particularly. We have to score good CGPA, good CGPA. We have to be topper in the class. We have to be first. We have to like that's fine. I'm not denying that fact because I myself have a distinction, so I can't say on that. But having said that, uh, for me, the grade or the CGPA or the mark out of 100 or say 90 whatever doesn't matter that much, to be honest. My thing was okay, I'm spending 2 years of my masters in bits pilani. I have lot of courses, projects, assignments, seminars, all those things. My only focus was to okay, after leaving from bits pilani after 2 years, how much I have learned in the structural engineering. That should be the main goal. Okay, if I take six subjects into account, okay, in some I have low mark, in some I have high mark, in some I have below average. Okay, it's okay. If you look at one perspective, it's not good because you also have to maintain your grade. That's fine. But now I can say I learned a lot in my 2 years from Bits Pilani. I learned a lot. Like speaking honestly, I had papers. I learned the core subject. I learned some MATLAB like coding skills, software skills. I interacted with good professors about research, about out of the box, like not only based on the academia, about other things. So that's one thing. Second, if I talk about my journey in Glasgow, so masters in UK is a speedy process because it's 1 year. In India, we have 2 years. So in 1 year, you have to do coursework, you have to do the exam, you have to pass the semester. So in that time, you don't have literally you don't have time to think other than your courses. So if I differentiate clearly, while I was in BITS, my main focus was to how the learning outcomes, how much I'm learning. But in my Glasgow, my main focus was okay, I'm doing this degree just to get a better PhD in UK. So honestly, in my Glasgow time, it was like okay, I need to have good GPA. Forget about learning or I learned or whatever. I need to score good in exam because if you compare, I learned quite a few things, the same repeated things in Bits Pilani. Now my main was okay. I got a good university. There is a chance I can get PhD in UK in good university. Now my main focus should be scoring good GPA. So that's how these both journeys are kind of similar. At the same time, they're kind of a thin line of difference set is there.
You did clear your gate in your first attempt. You had teaching
Yeah.
experience before going into Imperial. So
Yeah.
let's just talk about these two, three things before we go to the next segment. Firstly, when you were preparing for gate, cracking it in the first attempt is also a good feat. So, what were any particular study strategies or mental preparation tactics that you had, or any certain things that you would probably note when you are preparing, which would help other people?
So this answer kind of going to be a bit longer. Okay, that's fine, I think. So okay, I'll come to this answer. But in my free time, I used to I hear a lot of YouTube videos related to kind of motivational talks, spiritual leader talks, or some great businessman, uh, some great actor like Shah Rukh Khan, Priyanka Chopra. So if you just listen to them and you don't implement in your life, then I think it's a waste of time. You are just misusing YouTube and just your screen time is huge. What I do, I listen to them, listen to podcast, listen to motivational videos. I think how can is my life related to what they're speaking, or how can I implement their advice in my life? So uh, I clearly remember. I had just when I was preparing for GATE or during my MedEasy, I had just uh, I had started to use YouTube like quite new, and just one video of Shahrukh Khan speaking or giving a motivational talk in University of Edinburgh. It just came into my like feed. Then I played that. So it was 20-30 minutes. I don't remember 20-30 minutes video. In that thing, he said obviously quite lot of things, but two, three things which strike to me. He told failure is the best teacher than your success. That's a life goal. Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning, in my 12th standard, I was preparing from for IIT JEE and NIT exam and CBSE. Obviously, I could not crack any of them. So when I was preparing for GATE, that thing was in my mind. I had attempted for national level exam once 4 years back, and I could not crack it. Obviously, our parents won't say boldly, "Okay, we are feeling bad because you could not crack." But being a son or being a daughter, you can feel that. Okay, I have laid my parents down because they had expectation, or I myself had expectations. Okay, at least if not IIT, I'll go to NIT Rourkela or some good NIT. So when I was preparing for GATE, that was kind of opposite. In my mind, I had like kind of what do you say? In Hindi, you call it ziddi, or what? I don't know what to give its name, but I had this. Okay, this time I'll make sure that I'll crack GATE in first attempt, no matter what. If I have to study whole night, I will do. If I have to give up luxury, I have to do. If I give, I want. If I have to give up my friend circle or hanging out, I'll do everything. But I need to crack GATE exam because it's kind of history is repeating itself again. I was preparing from for 12th, same. I was in pi integrated mothers coaching, same teachers were like coaching. Then but I could not crack. Here also same, I was in medis, teachers were like lectures were teaching, we are preparing. So that was kind of almost similar situation, but things had changed. I had like we become bit matured during our B.Tech, and 3-4 years had passed by. So that was my main thing in GATE. I can't afford to not to clear it at first attempt. And luckily, by the grace of God, parents, and obviously by the efforts of Medici professors, the effort they had put in, I prepared, and luckily it happened. So I would just quickly tell about my kind of 1 3 4 months before the GATE exam, my daily schedule. So in Medici we used to have long classes on weekend, and 4 hours classes on weekdays, 6 to 10 and 1. So what I used to do, I used to listen very carefully during the coaching. Like for 4 hours, made I made sure that I'm not disturbed even 1 second, whether I'm responding to the professor, like, or whether I'm answering correct or wrong, that's a separate thing, but I'm not disturbed, I'm listening everything. And I used to make notes, running notes, you say. Then I used to come to my home at around 10:30, 11. Me, my dad, and my mom, we used to have our dinner from 11:30 to 12:30, 1 hour. I made sure that every day 1 hour I would just go quickly through the notes. What, like 4 hours lecture, just 1 hour rough or scanning, you say. And no matter whether I'm tired from the college or I'm sick or ill, whatever, but that 11:30, 12:30 at night, I used to give 1 hour to medicine notes of that day. Then yeah, then there are other few small things. I made sure that from day one, from in Medici, I used to clear all my doubts, all my queries from the professors. Like usually, what happens, we the students who are preparing, we usually think, okay, these are all my doubts. I will ask at the end, or I will ask at the end of the course. But that's a bad practice because that might pile up. So it's better to clear all your doubts, all your queries, all your anxiety, everything related to your course on that day. It will take hardly 10, 5, 15 minutes. But just imagine you are clearing, let's say, 50 questions at the end of the course. Then the professor or the lecture needs to like give you almost 2-3 hours. So it takes time, and you obviously the more we go forward, we tend to forget our first chapter or first lecture. So if you are clearing your doubts from the first lecture on your last day, although because the lecturer is teaching to every students, all the students at same time, he might remember. But you might not relate. Okay, okay, I don't remember what he's saying, but I'll again. Then what will happen? Okay, you will like say yes to the lecturer, and again you will come back to your room, and again you will go back. Okay, that was my doubt, and that was the query. So this this was the major like change which I used to practice in my 12th, which I did not practice in my gate. So if like for say if after today's lecture I have three questions doubt, before leaving the coaching institute I used to go to the professor. Okay, sir, I have these three doubts, could you clear? It would take hardly 2 3 minutes, and that's fresh in your mind because you just studied 1 hour before. So, and I used to make my, okay, the professor used to explain in their style, and when I come back to my room I had a separate note, my note, I would write the same doubt question on my note, and I would write the answer based on my understanding, not his understanding. So yeah, these few things. And lastly, it's not tough if you are consistent, if you are honest, and if you're hardworking. Gate, or if I now I think IIT JEE or NIT was not tough then, but it happened. So yeah, so these are the practices which I used to do during my gate, like 4 5 months, or let's say all the 2 3 years I went to coaching to made easy. So that's how I could crack luckily the gate exam at first go. Yeah.
That was very, very insightful because I think there is a lot to take away from how you are preparing and your strategies in where in the method that you're preparing that helps you become better at what you are doing and not. So let's just move on to the next one. I think we are talking
Yeah.
a bit about your PhD next time.
Yeah.
You have like taught before you went ahead and did your PhD in Imperial, which would mean that you have a lot more like inbuilt experiences and thoughts around how interdisciplinary teaching occurs and how interdisciplinary learning occurs. You've also done your PhD thesis or are working on your PhD thesis on sustainable steel framing and lightweight hybrid framing and so on. So why do you think is interdisciplinary research important and how do you like pursue the same?
Honestly, it's not exactly interdisciplinary research. Steel structure sustainability, it comes under structural engineering. Yeah, if you add the sustainability word to this title, it becomes kind of interdisciplinary. But yeah, so in today's world, we are running before like saving water, saving resources for our next generation. So what I would like to say, whatever we are doing in life, may it be research or may it be any startup, we should keep the sustainability at the first priority, because we need to think of our next generation. We need to think of the coming generation. Having said that, my research is, as I said, it's more related to UK scenario and UK industrial aspects. Yeah, sustainability. I can't explain it clearly because, as I said, I'm in third year of my PhD. But yeah, it to some extent, yeah, the design which we are proposing or which we are going to propose or in which I am working, we want the economical design, we want the best design, we want the safety. At the same time, we should not ignore the sustainability, so that the building frame which will be designed based on our our research, it should, like, how can I say, it should be eco-friendly, sustainability, all those words fall in same place. Yeah, that's what I think. I might be able to answer this question in my next year, final year, when I'll be writing the thesis. I'll have a clear picture. Now I have 1 year left, so yeah.
True. I guess there is a lot more to unpack also, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that we'll have you here pretty soon after your PhD too. But let's
Yeah.
move on. I think next we would like to discuss about how you view real world challenges and things. So you would have had this idea when you were approaching your PhD, right? And you were thinking about what topic to take for your PhD. So guide us a bit through your thought process around this PhD topic selection and all of the nitty gritty that comes around with conversing with your, say, guide and everything that comes around the PhD as well.
Yeah. So I would be speaking based on civil because I'm from civil. Other students or other listeners can relate based on their specialization. So in civil, you have major 4 5 courses, the 4 5 streams: structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, transport engineering, environmental engineering, remote sensing, water resource, and earthquake engineering. So these are the key streams which people prefer to study for masters or PhD. So my preference was always structural engineering, as I said before, because my M.Tech first masters was in that degree. In structure, you have different RCC, steel, pre-stress concrete, all those things. Uh, as I said in my previous answers, when I had applied for Imperial, at that time my mindset was okay. I don't know whether I will get a good reply from Imperial before the time when I was approaching the supervisor, because obviously we often tend to be bit negative in life. Okay, this is the top notch university. I am from Bits Pilani, although I have done my masters in Glasgow, but Glasgow University is not that rank wise, it's again below Imperial. So I didn't, first of all, I didn't expect I'll get a reply from my supervisor, from the professor who is my current supervisor. So I thought, okay, let me give it a try, because sending a good and professional email doesn't cost you anything. It just costs you 2-3 minutes of your time, that's it. So I thought, okay, I'll write a good email. I attached my CV, I attached my papers, publications, I attached my educational transcript, everything. And in that email, I remember clearly I had mentioned everything, that I was doing PhD in Canada that got cancelled. Now I'm like deeply interested for PhD, for which I'm doing my second masters in Glasgow. So I had given all the perspectives of my 3-4 years journey to the to the professors I'm approaching. So in that I had written, okay, I had still courses in my masters, in my undergrad also. I have a bit of like overall knowledge about steel, but obviously, see, people often mm, people often misunderstand that if you're doing PhD, that means you know everything. It's not. You are learning. That's why you are doing PhD. If you knew everything, then you would get your doctorate degree in 1 year. You just came, you appeared, or you cleared all the papers, everything, and you just got degree. But nobody in the world gets PhD in 1 year. PhD is a learning process. So when I wrote the email, or when I approached the professor at Imperial, I had written that, okay, I have a bit of knowledge about steel. If you select me, then we both can come on the same page, and we both, and you can help me enhance my skills on steel structures, which is like, obviously, I can't say I didn't have any interest. I had, but as compared to dynamics, earthquake, or core structural, steel was kind of below all these things. But when I was approaching to Imperial, my first was, okay, if I get selected at Imperial, no matter what courses, but I'll be working in the top university with top professor. So that was my ultimate idea or motive before approaching. And in foreign, to approach foreign universities, you need to research a lot. Research in the sense, you have to look for university. In that university, you have to look for the faculty of your department. In the faculty profile, almost all the faculties, they publish everything, in which research area they're working, who are their current PhD students, who were their past PhD students, from where you can get an idea. Okay, if I do PhD here, my future job or career is here. Then they also publish whether they have the current vacant position in their research area. So when I had Googled Imperial, I came across my supervisor's profile. He had mentioned everything, and in that, in small, what to say, small highlighted text, he had written, "New PhD incoming applicants are welcome." That was the kind of sentence. So I thought, okay, that means he has vacant positions. Then I looked for his research area. Okay, he's working on steel structures. He has H index, I index, all those stuff quite high, and he's the head of the structures at Imperial. So obviously, it's what you say. It's all understood that he's at top place. So then I sent an email, like I wrote an proper good official email. I attached my all necessary documents, even SOP, everything. Then I got reply from him for an interview. The interview was kind of technical, non-technical, just to get to know each other, how it would be if I get selected. And yeah, that was the process. Then he sent me the offer. The university sent me the offer letter with some scholarship. Then I accepted, and that's how I landed up here 3 years back.
I
Yeah.
think that's a very interesting way of approaching this as well, because you think that there is a lot of pain points where people have a lack of opportunities abroad, but there are actually quite a few opportunities. Since you have like taken on such a good hands-on experience in PhD applications, and you've made these processes through your life and then gone through a lot of like different iterations of it,
Yeah.
what is the biggest misconceptions do you find here, and what are the biggest mistakes that people are making in their PhD applications which you think they should be avoiding?
Yeah, so the biggest misconception is that before applying or before approaching, we in our minds think that okay, this is a top university, this is good university, my background is not that strong, I might get rejected. That's the first thing, which I also thought before applying to Imperial. That can be true for some people. Like if a student is like, I won't. In today's time, it's also wrong to say that a student is bad in studies, but I'm saying if you have bad GPA, if you don't have any papers, if you're not into extracurricular activities, if you're not from a good university, then I think applying to abroad university is a waste of time. You also need to know your strength first. Okay, I am good in this, I am good in that, although I am not good in this, but this part can compensate that. You need to first, the thing is you need to scrutinize your profile or your about yourself the first before applying. That's the first thing. I have like if I think about the applications where, if I think about the universities where my applications got rejected when I was applying, it's more or less has to do with your ranking or the um how can I say, overall profile of yourself. For example, I had applied to I had applied in 2020. I forgot the university name. It was like 4 5 years back. But they replied to me giving the reason that like they did not say it directly, but they meant that if my MTech was from IIT Bombay or IIC Bangalore, they would have accepted. That's what I understood, and it was true. And you have to accept the fact. Although, as I said, we know bits is top, but abroad they only know old IITs and old NITs. New IITs, new NITs, I'm not sure, but old they recognize. So that's the kind of that's a like a valid point on which your applications might get rejected. But the good part to apply abroad university is that no matter how much time they take, but they will get back to you. And whether you are selected or not selected, they will give you a clear picture. But as we have experience in India, they just take your interview and they just publish result. They neither tell you okay you are rejected, they don't give you the reason why you are rejected so that you can work on your mistakes. But in abroad it's just completely different. They, if they reject you, they will give you the clear reason. We do, for example, the research area in which you are applying has no vacant position, or we don't have any scholarship to provide, so they give the clear reason. So I would suggest the students or the candidates who are thinking to apply abroad, first take the first step. You have to take the baby steps, in the sense you have to prepare, you have to look for the universities. Sometimes you have to also think of applying to the universities which are not at that good rank, because there is a possibility that if you apply to, let's say, QS 100 150 rank universities, there is a chance you might get a full scholarship. So expenses also matters, particularly in US. My two three of my friends are doing PhD, they are under full scholarship. So talking them about finance won't be a good answer, because they are fully kind of exempted from all the expenses. But if I compare to UK, unless until you get full or 90 or 80% scholarship, it's a bad idea to come here just for to be in UK university. So you have to sort out your profile first. You have to know about yourself. Okay, I'm good in this, I'm good in this. Make a good profile. Then second, you have to think, okay, if I get full scholarship, then things are done. If I don't get full scholarship, am I able, or are my parents, or is my family able to pay me for 3 or 4 years for my PhD? If it's yes, then it's a tick. If no, then you have to sort out your finance first. You can take loans, education loans or whatever, but you have to fix your finance. Third, you have to highlight your key achievements. For example, when I applied, not to Imperial, to not only to Imperial but to other universities, I highlighted I cleared my GATE exam at first go. Then you have to write one line what is GATE, because we know, okay, GATE, because we are Indians, but the people outside, they don't know what's GATE. Then before, instead of them googling, you can just write GATE. It's a national level exam for doing masters or getting into PSU. So I highlighted my GATE achievement. I highlighted my first class honors in my undergrad degree. I highlighted my papers. I highlighted that I was class representative. I was into ESL club. Then I also highlighted that, but yeah, my distinction in bits pilani. And yeah, whatever you have, whatever you think that will catch the eyes of the in of the professor of the or the interviewer, you need to highlight in the email or somewhere in the profile. So that's how, these are small steps, but these are the key steps on which your application might get accepted or might not get rejected. So, like, lastly, if I think about me, I am here at Imperial. It might be true that at that particular time, lots of students from IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi might have tried, but I got selected, having not come from IIT. So there is luck. Like, anything can happen to anyone, but at the same time, you have to, like, what I'm trying to say, you don't have to keep any flaws from your own side. For example, you sent an email and after that you realize, oh shit, I forgot to attach this. So that's a minus point. Before sending email, make a proofread, or if you have an elder brother or if you have a senior in your college who has an idea, give him or her, okay, um like, bro or sister, can you just go through, I want to write this email to this professor, is it good? Then, because sometimes if two people read the same thing, you might get a different perspective. It's up to you if you want to accept his or her or not. But you'll get another, okay, I can write this sentence in this way also. So that might help. So these are the few things which I did myself, that's why I'm saying. So yeah, yeah, this is a thing. And not always rank matters, like rank in the sense, not always the university rank matters. For us, for middle class people from India, for us, scholarship or the expenses, that sometimes matters the most above everything. So yeah.
I think the unique part of life is that you have to always think about critical junctures, which means that you will have to think about finances, you will have to think about
Yeah.
opportunities, you'll
Yeah.
have to think about how you can critically make your application better. And you highlight that pretty well
Yeah.
when you were
Yeah.
answering. But I
Yeah.
think the other part that comes in this spectrum is that one, you can be very prepared, but even with that preparation, you have that anxiety, you have that stress. Even you have mentioned that you've gone through certain periods of your life where you've had a lot of problems with dealing with what could have happened or what did happen. So, how do you believe that people say in any degree or in any level, like from undergraduate to postgraduate to even students, how can they probably deal better with stress, anxiety, or the fear of rejection or being rejected and doubts that they have usually with their own lives?
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I think, I'll tell this in Hindi, so it might reach to lot more audience. There is a Hindi proverb of movie dialogue, I don't remember. कभी कभी कुछ टाइम पे कुछ नहीं होना अच्छा होता है. It's like that. Sometimes have not having something at one particular time is good. So now, if I look at back my journey, if my admissions and in Canada University was not cancelled, then I would have, by now I would have completed the doctorate degree. But now I am in a better university, better place, better city, better professor, better infrastructure, everything. Now I can think that my future is kind of set. I'm not like boasting about it, or I'm not super overconfident. But yeah, having degree from Imperial won't, like, make you struggle for jobs, I think. Fingers crossed, but let's see. Okay, that's another thing. Second thing is that having anxiety, having nervousness is a good sign. That means you are on the right track. If you are not if you are not anxious, or if you're not nervous, you that I think you are careless. Okay, if I get rejected, okay, nothing will happen. If I get accepted, okay. But if you have anxiety and if you have nervousness, sometimes it's better, it's a sign of okay, you are doing the right thing. So uh, if I speak about myself, the masters, the time when I was doing my masters in Glasgow was my kind of host phase, or as like kind of anxious or nervous period, because uh, I every time I used to get this thought, I had distinction in my first masters, but I'm just doing this degree just to go to another degree. That's not a logical way to think, like look at, but back then it sounded quite logical because I need to have this degree to go there. So yeah, I used to list, as I mentioned, in that period I used to be optimistic. Like nobody can make you optimistic, you have to be optimistic by yourself. No, we say that the motivational speaker motivate you. No, the fact is you need to get motivated at the end of the day. You see a 1 hour 30 minutes video, you you get motivated for that 1 hour, you close that video, you do your work, you come to your room after that. "Oh, that's the boring life." No, you need to get motivated, that's the first thing. But having said that, in during that time, during 20 to 23, in my stay in Scotland, I used to hear a lot of motivational stories. I used, like, I follow Virat Kohli a lot, who is an Indian cricketer. I follow him a lot. Like, I, you can say, I remember, like, I follow him from his debut match to till today. So I have seen his journey. There was a time in England tour when people, audience, directly told he should retire. He was in the host phase. Now he was the leading run scorer in the Asia Cup or whatever. Not leading, but he had a good stats. So yeah, so I see him. He has also seen his host phase, and we are, like, if we compare ourselves to cricketers, we are at much safer place. We are in a closed room, nobody knows what we are doing. But the cricketers, they are in the field, the people, if you score zero, they would like boo you. If you score 100, the same people will turn after 30. Oh wow, we love this man. So that's how the life changes, or the people change. So I follow him. I used to listen a lot of, as I said, motivational speakers, podcast. Out of all these things, two things which clearly helped me to get out of that phase and be positive was music. I'm a, like, you can say, music freak would be a kind of less word. I am, like, I live for music. I listen and I connect music to everything, to my waking up from bed, to going to work, before the meeting, before seminar. I used to, like, music is my, in my mobile, it's playing every time. And I used to listen to Zakir Khan, who is stand-up comedian. He's poet, he's like, lot of interviews, lots of audiobooks. So all that all those things showed me, like, taught me one thing. Okay, it's not only me who is at this phase. Lot of people might be at my lower, like, in the career, to be specific, in my lower phase, but still they're sustaining, they're living, they're smiling. So why not I'm obviously, I'm not doing PhD, I'm doing second masters, but my parents made sure they sent me abroad. They are spending everything on me. So why can't I give it a 1 year, and why can't I be okay all day? And why do I need to be okay sad? I'm okay. That was your decision to repeat masters. Your parents didn't say, okay, go and do master. That was your decision. So in life, if you take the decision, then regretting on it and blaming others, blaming the circumstances, is okay, but it's not correct, I think. You have to accept that. So all these things helped me to come out of that. Like, as I said, Virat Kohli, Rohit, or Indian cricketers, Indian cricket team, to say, not only particular, lot of motivational videos, podcast, music was, yeah. So these are all things, and ultimately you come out of that. It's not a big deal. I know it's easy to say in that sense, but I was in that situation, so it's not difficult. You can easily come out.
Two last things from this segment which really are important to discuss. I think one, PhD and also like a lot of education and academia need a lot of soft skills, but also there is a lot of practical real world implications for your research. So what are the soft skills that you probably found valuable in your PhD journey and during your work around your research and academia, and how do you think practical implications should be focused on when you're doing your PhD research?
It might sound childish or it might sound immature to a lot of people, but it I learned a great lesson. So in my undergrad or in my masters in Bits Pilani, I hardly used this MS Excel software. I hardly, because uh, I used to do software simulation. I used to get the plot. I used to show. I used to publish in the paper. Things are done. So when I came here, and during my initial meetings with my supervisor, progress meeting we call it in PhD, like you need to show what you have done in 1 week or 10 days. My supervisor used to always point me, Anshuman, your Excel graph, Excel overall database or Excel, what to say, formatting is bad. You don't know which column is what. It's a very small thing. MS Excel in today's world, when we are talking about ML, AI, chat GPT, 3D printing, all those things, Excel is a small, but it was one of the key thing which I learned in my 3 4 months of initial PhD. My supervisor made sure that the time when I leave from here after PhD, my Excel spreadsheet would be the best among 100 or 1,000 people. I'm repeatedly saying it's a small thing. A lot of audience might think, okay, MS Excel we do in a soft. No, it's not about only doing MS Excel. It's about doing how you present that your work to a large group of audience, and how the audience would think, okay, that shows the student from Imperial, or that shows the student of a PhD quality of work. So that was the first soft skill I learned, and I had a kind of rough or beginners or intermediate knowledge about coding, all those. Here I again learned at Imperial you have the free courses on Python, MATLAB, AutoCAD, or whichever software. I learned that. So but but the fun part is, research in UK is 3 or 3.5 years, so it's a fast process. Again, it's a not like faster than India. So I hardly got time to develop my soft skill. But if I point out specific thing, the Excel, the way you talk in a seminar, I obviously I was a good speaker, people used to say, but I become a better speaker here. The another thing, if 3 4 professors are sitting and they're listening to you, how do you counteract their questions, how do you respond to their questions, what would be your sitting posture, what would be the speed of you delivering your presentation, how would your presentation look, what would be the flow of conversation, how would you address their questions, how do you work on them. These are very small things, but people miss out on this. Yeah, those are all things. And practical, here I don't practical, if we can consider the experimental testing as a practical work, yeah, we have done almost 30 to 35 big frame testing, 8 meter 6 meter beam column. But out of the lab and out of the college, I have never been to any kind of site or industry here at Imperial. But I have a like kind of 1.5 or 2 years of proper hardcore experience on the lab. So lab testing related to steel structures. But out of the lab, going to a site, going to industry, no, I haven't visited any.
In itself, it is very insightful when you're saying that there are certain amount of things that come around from your research journey, and people over the period of your life when you're into academia or in your professional journey, people keep building you up one block at a time. They keep giving you things that you need to work around. They keep giving you information that you will be better off with, and you sort of start building yourself slowly. And that is something which is very interesting. So the next part, I think we'll be talking a bit about your leadership and impact before we close. So in terms of how you are your PhD in terms of how you have worked at Imperial, you are your PhD department representative. So, what is the most pressing issue you face currently amongst postgraduate researchers, and how have you learned?
Yeah, so right now, because here at Imperial, the moment you become PhD representative, it is for 1 year. So my position, like, how to say, now I'm not PhD representative. I was the PGR rep from 2024 September to 25 September. Now we are sitting in 1st of November. So yeah, that's a small correction. I was okay. Uh, yeah, the common issues was that, see, it's not the common issue for Imperial, it's the common issue of the lifestyle in UK and India. In India, no matter how much stressed we are, how much work we have, in evening or at our colony or street, we hang out with our friends. That's not a practice here in UK. So the common thing or common feedback which I got from my colleagues from my research group is that we need to have social gatherings. We are feeling isolated. We don't have any friends. So that's the culture of kind of UK people or UK lifestyle that I can't only help here at Imperial. I can only, I what I did, I contacted my higher authority or the person in charge, and I asked them to organize some free food, drinks, or some board games night, movie night. That all happened, but that's for a time being, for 1 day. But for a long time, there's need to be drastic change in the lifestyle, how we work here. That I can't help. Then the next feedback was some people, some PhD researcher and my colleagues, senior, junior, they're like, we are kind of more stressed when it comes to paper writing, when it comes to thesis writing, when we are going close to our PhD submission. So on that, my take was, as I said, it's okay, because if you're writing your first paper and you want it to be published in the top journal with high impact factor, you need to be nervous, you need to be careful. That's okay. But slowly with time, the moment you write papers back to back, that anxiety, nervousness would decline. On the second part, PhD submission, okay, that's that needs to be like, you need to be nervous, you need to be anxious, because it's one of a lifetime. You submit your PhD, after that you are there for viva. You're like, as I say, the tag of doctor will be added to your name till you alive. So it's a big deal, you can't take this lightly. So yeah, but the people who were having this issue, obviously they were senior to me because they're about to submit. So to them, being a junior, what I can say, but being a representative, I can say, okay, if you guys want a small get together or small food or some social reunion or gathering during your thesis writing, I'm there to help. But they told, no, we don't want to be disturbed because we are right focusing on thesis after that. And here we have, in at Imperial, we have a culture or we have a tradition. If, for example, if a student submit his thesis and his thesis is submitted successfully, that night or that evening, we all, with our professor, supervisor, everything, we all go for food and drinks, and we just chat, just to make him relax and motivate him. Okay, well done, you have done a good job. So that's the culture of here. Yeah, overall my experience was good. All my colleagues, they supported me throughout 1 year. And personally, it won't be egoistic, but yeah, I enjoyed the position, because if you see my profile, I was the class representative in undergrad. So used I love this leadership and this kind of volunteering or organizing or something for our friends, for the department. I really enjoyed that feeling, for which I had applied for the post. I had, luckily I got selected here for the PhD representative. So here, I would like to clear, um, representative, like rep is a short form of representative. That's how they speak here. Yeah. So PhD rep. Yeah.
In a lot of different domains, you have a lot of different agencies and choices, and I think leadership does suit a lot of like soft skill development and other developments that you need during your PhD journey as well. So as
Yeah.
we come to the end, let's just quickly do a bit of a fun segment. We'll ask you a couple of rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
You have to answer in a word or a sentence at most. So
Yeah.
let's start. The
Yeah.
most crucial skill for a successful PhD candidate.
It's not about technical, it's about your, like as I said, hardworking, never give up, optimistic, and don't be negative every time, and you can do it. So the only sentence, you can do it. It's tough, it's boring, it's lonely, but you can do it. and keep yourself motivated rather than hearing motivational talks. Keep yourself motivated.
Your favorite aspect about being in London?
Yeah, the weather, like obviously it's not, it's always kind of cold or mild cold. Yeah, but on a serious note, the work culture, the flexibility of working hours, and the non interference in your personal lives. I don't know whether I have time to explain this, but I have faced in like India, the professors, like they ask, where do you live? Why don't you come to college? Why are you taking so much holiday? Here, it's at the end of the day how much you work. That's it. If you are showing good progress, the professors will leave you like, okay, do whatever you want, but I want the result. That's it. So that's a better part if I compare my India and UK. Yeah. And obviously the people like are friendly. Yeah.
The most important section of a PhD application.
Uh, So there are four important sections. First is your CV. As I said, you need to write a kind of excellent or well-made CV. Second is your SOP, statement of purpose. That means why are you applying to this university, to this faculty, to this research. That should be clearly mentioned. Third, obviously your grade, GPA, CGPA. Fourth, if you are writing an email, how you prepare that email, each and every word, each and every sentence. The professors abroad, they read minutely. We often think, okay, they might not have read. No, they read each and every word. I'm telling you from my experience. So never play around with, okay, I'll like tweak this sentence a bit, it might sound bit funny or interesting. No, it should be professional. So these are the four things.
The one book that you would always read or recommend.
I usually don't read books. I'm a person into audio, not readings. So to sound philosophical, book of life, never give up, dream big, or you can do it, and all those things.
GRE exam or GATE or a strong GPA.
GRE and strong GPA. Gate, if you don't have gate, it's fine. But if you have a strong GRE score and strong GPA, you are true.
Yes. So, most important extracurricular activity for a scholar.
Yeah. So I don't know about others. The two, three skills which I developed, I didn't know I had that. I write good shairi or poet, and I write some short thriller stories. So yeah, and I love cooking. So these are all skills or essentials. I don't know, but you need to do something out of your research. You can't always study, study, study. Yeah.
One word to describe the Imperial College's research environment.
The best, the best.
If you weren't a structural engineer or a civil engineer, what alternative career path would you have explored?
That would sound shocking to all of you at the end. I was always interested to be a good actor, not a superstar, to be a good actor, because in my school, in my annual functions, most of the time I was selected for dance, for acting, and once I remember I got a best prize for negative role in a play. That was a Hindi play. I don't remember. Obviously, it was in class 3, 4, or 5. So if I was not into studies or to say engineering or whatever, I had thought of going to NSD and all those, following those steps, and I wanted to be a good actor, like as we say today about Pankaj Tripathi, Manoj Bajpayee, KK Menon, Arjun, or those kind of actors, not the superstars. But obviously in 12th, before I could say, my parents told their decision, and I could not say my kind of what you say, craving or dream. It's fine.
The most underrated aspect of pursuing higher education abroad.
You become the best version of yourself of being independent. People, why I'm saying this, most of the people see it as boring, see it as lonely, but mark my words, you become stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, in all aspects.
That's a wonderful way to end off the rapid fire. So, before we go into the closing, what's the one last thought or advice that you would like to give to your younger self when you were just starting your academic journey? And what would you like to leave the listeners and viewers with?
My younger self, I'm just 31, so yeah. uh don't take so much stress and don't regret on failure or don't regret on of not having something at some point of time. As the king of film Bollywood SRK says, पिक्चर अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त, and विराट कोहली ऑल्सो सेज एट द एंड सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. सो हो जाएगा. हुआ है मेरे साथ, आपके साथ भी होगा. एवरीथिंग विल फॉल इनटू प्लेस. If not today, if not tomorrow, after 3 years, every one of us will be smiling at their own dream jobs or dream career fields, and we'll be all happy that we are all together. And don't take so much stress, yaar. It's failing in a subject is far better than regretting on that for 4 5 years. That's what I'm saying. Just move on in life. It's difficult, it's easy to say, difficult to apply, but that's the ultimate truth. Just move on from everything. From everything, yeah. So people might understand it's not academia, from relationship, from everything, because unless until you move on, you can't go to the next day or next step. So yeah, सब
Anshuman,
कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा.
Anshuman, this has been truly enlightening and also very, very engaging. I think this has been something that people would engage a lot with and a lot of thoughts to go around for everybody. The insights you shared from the nuances of your PhD journey to the strategy behind the PhD applications, everything would be something that is very informative and also equally as important for people who are listening in and viewing this. Thank you for being on the Scholarly Soundbites. To our listeners, you can follow Anshuman's journey, connect with him, and see his publications. I will share the details down below. And thank you again, Anshuman,
Thank you.
very
Thank you.
kindly coming.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Bye.